Hi folks, CodeTutor here and my name is Anil Deshpande. Welcome to the another video on Android CICD series. This is a continuation of the previous video. In the previous video, we had started exploring Android build types and we had ended the previous video by making it easy to install both build types at the same time on the same device. But there is still scope to make it even more easier and refine it further. So let's pick it up from there. And now if I just close this and I search for variant, you can see that there are two apps installed with the same name. One is debug and another one is release. But there is no way to make out which one is which until and unless I open the application and see metadata about the application. It would be better if I could figure out just by looking at the name in the device. What do I mean by that? Let me open the settings here, go to apps, and if you come down here, both of this variant demo application, they have same name. It would have been better if I could understand this just looking at the name of the application. And it is possible to do that. Let me show you how to do that. I will come to here, debug section, and I will add manifest placeholders, app label, variant demo debug. I will just copy paste the same thing for the release as well. And here I will remove the debug. And now let me open the manifest file. Here label, it uses @string app name. Instead of that, I will use $app label. So that basically means this app label will actually refer to this app label from the build manifest placeholder, and I should be able to quickly differentiate between which app is which. So let me sync this. Let me uninstall both of these and let me run this. So this is the release version, and let me change it to debug and let me run this as well. So let me open the settings, go to the apps, and you can see that recently opened apps, it is showing variant demo DBG and variant demo without DBG. So that will make it very easy for me to identify which one is the demo application and which one is the release application. There is another trick that is up the sleeve that you can use while working with the debug and release versions. In one of the very earliest videos where I was talking about how to use LeakCanary, which is a library that is available to basically track activity leak is happening or not in an Android application. You would like to use a feature like this only in a debug build, not in the release build. So how to make sure that a particular framework or a library is available only with a particular release type so that it unnecessarily doesn't bloat up the application memory size even in the release build type. So you want to enable these kind of diagnostic features only in debug build but not in the release build. So let me show you how to do that. I will go to the main activity here. I will create another composable called as assist chip. It basically is a small visual reference that I want to show in the activity only if it is a debug build. So I will let me add this particular assist chip on the top here, but I want to show it only if it is a debug build. So if BuildConfig.DEBUG, then only show this, so that it becomes very easy to see whether which particular application that I am running. So this is a debug build. This is a small chip that I have added. That's good enough. And now let me open the build.gradle file, not this one, other one. And if you come here in the dependencies, I can add something like debug implementation. What is debug implementation? Usually you only see implementation. If you have seen something like debug implementation, that means this particular framework or library is only supposed to be used with the debug build type. And that is where I will add LeakCanary, and let me sync it up. And then I will create a object which will help me to leak the activity. So let me create a Kotlin object let me call it as activity leaker, and here I will create a private variable, call it as retained, it is activity type, and then function leak. This will basically leak the activity. Retained active is equal to activity. And now let me go back to the main activity. Under this I will write if buildConfig.DEBUG, then let me get hold of the activity local context dot current as activity, and then let me add some space, and after that I will create a button, and clicking on that button should basically be able to help me to leak the activity. So activity leaker dot leak, I will pass the activity is equal to activity text trigger activity leak, and now if I come down I can add a text on the button and then apply a style. And now let me start this as a debug variant, and you can see here this is a debug build, and when I click on this it should be able to trigger the leak canary, and I should be able to see a heap in the leak canary. Let us see whether I am able to see this right now. Yeah, I can see that activity leaker retained, and it literally shows where the activity leak happened. So this is how you typically look for the activity leaks in your Android application, which can cause performance issues. And now if I just run it as a release variant, I should not be able to do this because that is a release variant, and I should not be able to basically work with leak canary in that. And you can see that I don't see that debug chip or the button to trigger the leak canary. So this is a very classic example of how you can selectively enable or disable certain libraries, especially which are related to diagnostics in certain build types. Not only that, typically you also have a base URL associated with API calls that are happening in the Android application. What is base URL? Let's assume that you have a backend and you have two environments. One is the production environment and another one is QA environment or staging environment. The API URL endpoints will be different from both the environments. So you want to configure those URLs depending upon the build type. It is possible to do that in the build.gradle file itself. Let me show you how to do that. Let me open the build.gradle, come to the build types, and I can write something like BuildConfigField string. Name of the field is base URL, and here I can give something like staging.apiexample.com, and under release type I can just keep it apiexample.com. And then let me go back to the main activity. Here I can write key value base URL, and once again buildConfig.base URL, and I can just sync now. Don't worry if you are seeing it in the red, it automatically creates that when you build it. So let me run this. You should be able to see this is the base URL, and the build variant setting was in release type, so that is why you are seeing api.example.com. and if I just make it to debug and rerun this, you see the staging api.example.com. So you can see that in this video we have already covered a lot of ground on how to really use build type, debug and release. But there is a problem if you already observe here. Whenever I want to enable or disable based on the build type, I will have to put if buildConfig.debug, if buildConfig.debug. So this is very non-scalable approach. Let's assume that you have a huge application code base and there are thousands of class and files, composables, and everywhere if you want to enable or disable certain things, going through whole code base just to check where all you have to do the changes can really create a problem. There is a very easy way to address this problem, and that is called as source sets. In next video, I will be showing you how to basically work with sources. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.